Welcome everyone, this is Dr. Marwa Omar. This short video is about what matters in science, especially in the field of medical parasitology. So, what's trending nowadays in this field? Let's find out. Actually, it's in October 2021, the science world, and especially parasitologists everywhere in the world, are celebrating this historical moment in science. It's such a very important and huge moment simply is because we are fighting against malaria for about a millennia now, and we still don't have the power to overcome this fatal disease. So at this particular moment, and right in this month, which is October 2021, the WHO has decided to rule out the world's first vaccine against malaria. We must know that this is the first vaccine ever against any parasite. There is no vaccines until now against any parasite except for this one right now. So this is such a historic moment in the world of science. Malaria is one of the oldest diseases on Earth. It's caused by the female Anopheles mosquito, which is considered to be one of the deadliest animals on Earth. This disease is life-threatening, yet it's preventable and curable. To imagine the devastating impact of malaria is enough to say that it kills about 260,000 children in Africa under the age of 5 every single year. Before we could talk about the world's first vaccine against malaria, we need first to understand how do vaccines work. Vaccines against malaria have 3 different points in the life cycles of malaria to block. The first stage, which we call it the pre-erythrocytic vaccine candidate, tend to block the pre-erythrocytic stage, in which these parasites injected in the blood after the bite of the female Anopheles mosquito invade the liver cells. So this stage intend to block the pre-erythrocytic stage and all the subsequent events. This is considered the most efficient vaccine candidates because blocking this stage will block the all subsequent sequelae of malaria. The second candidate of vaccines tend to block the erythrocytic stage, in which there is always a connection or an interaction between the plasmodium and the red cells. So they intend to block the myriads liberated from the liver stage from invading the red blood cells. This stage vaccines are very important because they prevent the complications of malaria and the malarial paroxysm. Finally, the third vaccine candidates tend to block the transmission cycle, in which the female Anopheles mosquito take the infective stages from the infected blood in its blood meal. So, to which category does the world's first vaccine belong? So, let's start with the name of this new vaccine. It's called the Mosquirix or the RTS S vaccine. It belongs to the first category of vaccine candidate, which intended to block these parasites from invading the liver tissues, and so they are called the pre-erythrocytic stage vaccine candidate, which are actually the most efficient candidate of malaria vaccines. Before we get to the name of the vaccine, we need first to know that the trials of this new malarial vaccines have actually focused on one of the major proteins or antigens of Plasmodium falciparum, which is the circumsporazite protein. Actually, it's a surface antigen of the sporozoites of Plasmodium falciparum. So R actually stands for the central repeat region of the CSP, and T is for the T cell epitope, and the combined RT peptides were genetically fused to the N-terminal region of the hepatitis B virus surface antigen, which here acts as the carrier matrix of this central repeat region, or an adjuvant for this vaccine. Despite the claimed safety of this vaccine, it has only modest efficacy. It provides 30% protection against severe malaria among African children. We must know that this vaccine is effective only against falciparum species. After all, it's combined of a piece of the falciparum protein, which is the circumsporazite protein, combined to the surface antigen of the hepatitis B virus in order to enhance or trigger a stronger immune response. Indeed, we owe so much to science. Thank you for every researcher who made it possible to have our first vaccine against malaria. Maybe we are entering a Renaissance era in the fight against this fatal disease. Thank you so much for listening.